May 28th, 2014 Commissioners meeting to order. First item on the agenda is a moment of silence for Brenda Libby, who passed away. She was an employee for 31 years here at the complex at the nursing home. I knew her as a union negotiator. She was on the team with the Mountain View union for the union contract. She was also on the board of nursing in Concord. She was also one that put in a number of suggestions in the suggestion box that I had over at the nursing home. She was one that signed the suggestions so that I could get back to her as to what we did about her concern. So at this time, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Brenda Libby. Thank you. Mr. Babson?
Could I make a couple of comments before we go to a public input?
Okay.
The first one is, if there's been quite a bit of chatter on Facebook about Commissioner Solomon and Commissioner Kenney and Commissioner Kenney saying that she signed the travel checks for the 5 people that got in the van and all put in mileage. The reason she did it is because Commissioner Solomon told her it was the way business was done around here, and that it was, and that she should sign them, or something to that effect. I just, I personally want to make a statement. I don't believe for 1 minute that Commissioner Solomon condoned illegal and fraudulent mileage vouchers to come before her and that she signed them. And, I think it's another unfounded attack on, in this case, a former commissioner, and I just want Dottie to know I don't believe for a minute that you did anything like that. The other thing is Travelgate. And also some chatter about waiting for a travel policy to see the travel policy. Well, as long as I'm here, there won't be a travel policy on signing fraudulent mileage and tolls. I won't waste the time to do it. If you don't know by this time that you're breaking the law and stealing if you put in for mileage and tolls that you never drove or you never gave the toll taker, it should be a non-issue. It's illegal. They don't make toll booths with toll takers on both sides so the passenger can pay. They don't make cars with 2 sets of steering devices so that you both can get mileage. To even think about having a policy for something as ridiculous as stealing on your mileage is beyond me. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I don't think we need a policy to say that you can't collect if you're not driving.
Okay, thank you for your comments. At this time, I'd open it up for public input. Yes.
Question. Is Commissioner Kenney coming in?
I have not heard. I don't believe she's called in. I don't know at this time where she might be.
I came in today to discuss or to tell Commissioner Kenney my thoughts about her recent allegation against me. I would prefer that she were here. I don't like to talk to empty desks.
If you would rather wait, we can do the minutes and then come back.
I will wait at least until then. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anybody else got any public comment? If not, let's look at the May 21st minutes. Do you have any corrections?
Yes, I have several, Mr. Chairman, but I would like to make a suggestion that if they're very simple, like putting a word back in that's been left out, that you don't need to go to, as Michelle so nicely does on all of them, making the corrections down.
Okay.
Just put them in the minutes. For instance, these aren't numbered, so it's a little more tough.
That's because Cheryl was out yesterday, and when Kathy prints it, she uses WordPad, and it doesn't take over any of the formatting for some reason. I don't know why it does that. It's a Microsoft product. I just...
Well, on the second page, the first one is the third paragraph up from the bottom. Babson RPT on extension. I suspect that's your shorthand to let you know it's supposed to be reported.
wait a minute. No.
Second line in the third paragraph from the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, I'd take that line out. That's just an oversight.
You want to take the whole line out?
Yeah, take Babson, yeah, that whole sentence
take
shouldn't
that
be
whole
in
line
there
out?
at all. That's just my error.
No. Oh, that's fine. Leave it in. Just make it report.
Leave it in, okay. Go ahead.
The idea, I reported on it.
Well,
Go down 2 or 3,
mhm.
and please, Michelle, don't take this personally. You do an excellent job.
Okay.
And everybody makes a mistake now and then. Guest Maynard Thompson spoke on raising the bar.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know this, but that's the name of his.
Oh, he has a group called Raising the Bar?
Well, his group.
His project?
His project. That's the name of his project.
Why don't we just put in raising the bar project?
Okay.
Just add project after bar?
Okay. But raising the bar should be capitalized.
Okay.
Next line down, government subsidized cooperative, and I think you should put in, or I would wish you would put extension in there.
Cooperative extension?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Over on the next page, third paragraph up from the, third, well, counting the bottom, third paragraph up, next to last line. I think you meant to say, Ms. Ayton, to surmise that mid-price,
Price, yes.
not price.
Yeah.
The next page, last paragraph. I believe you left out the word "it." They are putting it out to bid.
Okay. Yeah.
Top of the next page. I believe it was I that mentioned the W-2 forms.
Oh, all right.
And then in the second line from the bottom in the next paragraph, I think you meant to say, she added that in 2010, 11, 12, 13, no audits were done.
Oh, okay, all right.
Next page. I've got to scribble through this because I don't understand it. About halfway down you say, second, he asked if the county's reimbursement policy addressed Commissioner Kenney's concern, and Commissioner Babson said that it did not, but it should be common sense. What was Commissioner Kenney's concern?
About the double dipping.
Okay.
This is the same question you just addressed with the no need to have a specific policy because it's common sense that it's
Right.
if it's illegal you can't apply for it, but I'll rephrase.
Okay.
It might be a little too.
And the next paragraph down, next to last line, is I think you meant to say, Comeau said that all towns agree.
Oh, yep.
And then, the last but not least, I think you might want to remove, Commissioner Babson said that he was still looking at the fine print.
Okay.
I think that had to do with grants, and I said somebody ought to be looking at the fine print or something.
Oh, okay.
Like that. Take it out, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Are you all set?
Yep, that's it.
Commissioner Kenney, do you have any corrections?
Is it on May 21st?
May 21st, yeah.
That one, I should know what state would do.
Do I hear a motion to accept the May 21st minutes?
I'll make a motion that we accept the May 21st minutes as corrected.
Do I hear a second?
I'm not seconded. I was traveling, I didn't watch video, and in order to correct those minutes, I have to watch the video.
I'll
So I'm
second
not
it.
voting on it.
All those in support of the May 21st, 2014 minutes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Commissioner Kenney
no.
vote.
No?
Yep.
Okay, motion then, the minutes are passed. Okay, now we'll go back to Commissioner Solomon, you had asked for the floor. Go ahead.
I've come here today to direct my comments to Commissioner Kenney. It came to my attention this past week that you have made allegations about me, which I do not like at all. First
I
and
didn't
foremost,
make any allegations
Excuse me.
about
Okay,
you.
all right.
it
Wait,
is I have the floor at the moment.
Wait, yeah. You have your turn.
It seems to me that if you thought 2 years ago, at least, that there was something going wrong with with the 5 people you do not name, having taken liberties with payments, it would have been your responsibility at that time to bring it up. Not 2 years plus later, and then not name the people, and then tell people, I don't know if you did it here, but I know you did it online, that I am responsible
I did
for you
what?
assigning the
Wait a minute,
checks,
wait a
if you
minute.
did sign them at all, because I told you to do so. Now, you're not going to be able to substantiate that I had anything to do with what you're claiming, nor do I think you're going to be able to substantiate anything about the 5 good, probably good people who work for the county and thereby sully their names as well. But why you take this time and waste the time of this commission with something that you cannot even have proof of is beyond me. That there will be, even if you should take back what you said, which I doubt you will do, but even if you should, you have now sullied my name across the internet, and I resent that. That is not the way a person who has any honor would deal. Do you have something you'd like to say to me?
Yes, I don't know what you're talking about online or the internet.
You don't, do you? Well, a very nice person sent this to me.
I know in the minutes that we just approved, on the next couple pages back, Commissioner Kenney said that Commissioner Solomon had told her that that is the way the county does business, and it's in our
I
minutes.
did brought it up a while ago, and that was a statement that you made.
That I made?
Yes, you made a statement and asked you, I said, how are we going about with mileage? and that is what you said.
What evidence do you have to support
Hold-
something
hold-
like
hold
that?
this,
That's
Stan.
a wild accusation, and I accuse you
Stan.
of malfeasance.
Stan, hold it.
You were not even there, so I don't know.
Well,
what
you
to
weren't
tell.
obviously there because it never happened.
Yes, it was, because I was
Okay.
asking
It's a
how are we
whack-it.
doing with mileage? And that
Okay.
is what you said. It's the same as like the funds. Where was the money taken out? For the
I don't know
filing
what
fee
you're
of the
talking about.
501c3. You came first, it was to be fund, then it was not, then it was being fund, then it is not.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why
Oh,
don't
no,
you
you
stick to
don't know.
one thing at a time?
Yes, but
Okay.
I let
Why
you know.
don't you
Right.
stick to one thing at a time? According to this
Go ahead,
information
Commissioner
that I
Solomon.
got,
Well,
the
send
last
that
Wait a minute, wait a
information
minute,
to
wait a
me.
minute.
Asha
Let her-
Kenney made the newest claim. She told Commissioner Solomon about the falsified expense report, and then Commissioner Solomon told her to sign it anyway. That's what's on the internet.
Did you put that on?
What did you mean with internet?
Government oversight,
I'm not on government oversight.
Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook. So if you sent it to me, I can see where it comes from.
I didn't send you anything.
Now, where does it come from? I'm not on government oversight nor Facebook.
Well, that's not quite true since I've seen you on there. That's enough. I have nothing more to say.
Okay, you have anything to say?
Yes, she did make that statement when I was signing checks, and now she denied.
Okay, I have something.
Okay, Stan?
Commissioner Kenney came to this board simply, I think, to create conflict, because that's all she's done since the moment she arrived on this board. She's cost the taxpayers of this community thousands of dollars in creating this conflict and then also malfeasance in office. Now, if that's not an impeachable offense, that at least the offense that requires censure. I think Mr. Chairman and the other commissioners over here know very well that she's been so terribly uncooperative that she created an enormous amount of conflict, that it's time that she were told that this kind of behavior has consequences. She cannot go around making unsubstantiated charges. She has no idea how this affects not only individuals such as my wife, but the community in general, and the cost to the community. Now, at the very least, I think this board can censure her for her behavior. It's malfeasance. It is characterized totally by malfeasance. And if we can't impeach her, at least she should be censured for that kind of behavior. This is not the first time she's made wild accusations without support. They have no foundation in fact, her accusations. Now she claims she didn't even make the accusation, when in fact it was in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting there telling you she didn't make the accusation, when in fact you guys were here when she did.
Yeah.
I think it's time that you got, you told her that this behavior is totally unacceptable.
Thank you for your opinion.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Mr. Solomon, I think I've said on many occasions that type of behavior isn't acceptable. I don't know that we have the power to censor Commissioner Kenney. I've asked her to resign a couple of times in public because we cannot function as a unit with what goes on here. And I just want you to know, I've tried to make sure that things change, but they haven't.
Thank you.
I have the
Thank
floor,
you.
I have something to say.
You want the floor?
Yeah. Is it,
Okay, you got the floor, go ahead.
Is it not good policy if we have like 5 people going to conference, that they carpool? Is that not saving the taxpayers' money? I think they should be carpooling.
What evidence do you have to support what you're saying?
Stan, she's got the floor.
I said I'm talking about policy. Is it not a good policy if we have 5 people going to conference that they carpool and save the taxpayers' money? What we have now for years forever. They go into the same place, 5, maybe 7 people, and everyone put in separate for mileage. Do you want to tell me that nobody is carpooling? So it never happens that
I
nobody is
think-
carpooling? I think it is good policy if we have 5 or 7 people going to a meeting or a conference that they carpool to save the taxpayers' money.
Okay, I think we're getting a little out of hand here. You made the accusation that
It was not the accusation.
Well, then prove it.
Well, then prove it. The delegation has asked you to prove that you saw 5 people get out of a van and that they each put in for mileage. You need to prove that. And you need to prove it to the delegation. Plus, we have a 91A from Melissa Siemens regarding that same issue. And she has put that through to the board verbally, which is acceptable. And I would say that we need additional time to give Commissioner Kenney a chance to research and come up with the proof that this has taken place. And we will put that in writing to you, Melissa, since it's a 91A. We'll give her sufficient time to do that. If she can't come up with it, then we will handle it a different way. Yes, sir, you had your hand up.
Yes, Commissioner Sorensen. My question would be to Ms. Kenney, if the
Commissioner Kenney, thank you.
If the policy is wrong and you guys approve the policy, then wouldn't it be easier for you to maybe have the policy rewritten then, instead of coming to public and just start saying that people's doing these things and everything else? It would be easier just for you to say, okay, hey, this is a problem, here's how we fix it, let's change the policy and rewrite the policy. Wouldn't that be a whole lot better than going into public and stating that people are doing things that are not proper or taking money from the county? Wouldn't that be the way to fix the things instead of going through all this?
Can I answer that? First of all, there is no policy. And I questioned about it. I questioned about it a few years ago, and it said, this is the way we're doing it, this is past practice. That is what I've been told. And there, Commissioner Babson brought something up. He said abuse of mileage from an employee that should left his car and take the bus or whatever, something like that. And I said, well, then we should add this policy also. If we have people traveling to the same conference, I think there should be a policy that they can carpool.
Well, then, if that was 2 years ago, why don't we have a policy now? That's 2 years.
You know how dysfunctional this place is. We don't have policies. Now, little bit by little bit, we started to put in policies. These policies should be in place before I even took office. But there was nothing. So every time something come up, I questioned that. And I say, hey, so many people went to the conference. And that is what we have now. We have mileage separately.
Okay, you all done? I think it's common sense that if you drive your vehicle, then you get reimbursed for the mileage. If somebody else is riding with you, common sense would say they're not having any cost involved and therefore should not be putting in for mileage. Commissioner Babson.
I just want to correct Commissioner Kenney. I didn't make any accusations about anybody's travel expenses. I just suggested that maybe there was a better way and a cost savings for the county. We paid the bill. There was nothing done wrong. And again, you said, well, I accused somebody of something. I didn't accuse anybody of anything. As far as the mileage and tolls go, I already made my statement earlier. We don't need a policy, or maybe you do need a policy that says you can't steal from your employer and still keep your job. You don't need one. Anybody with half a brain knows that if you don't drive and you don't pay the tolls, you don't put in for mileage. Why do you need a policy, Commissioner Kenney?
Okay.
I think it is good practice that we have a policy. Because if we have 5 or 7 people going to a conference and they each put in for mileage, is it not better and saving taxpayers' money if they carpooling and one person put in for mileage?
Well, come up here with the evidence.
It's maybe not common sense.
How much time do you
I'm
need?
talking about a policy. That
Okay.
we need
No,
to
we're
have
talking
a
about what
policy
you just said.
We need to have a policy in place.
All right.
Yeah, right.
If we
So
go
much
into
about
a
a
meeting
policy.
or a conference.
How much time do you need to come up with the proof that you said 5 people put in for mileage and they all rode in a van? How much time do you need to prove
Like I
that?
said, I saw it. They were parked in front of me.
How much time do you need to prove it?
I have to go to, I don't have access. My
Do you
computer
need a
doesn't
week?
have access.
Do you need 2 weeks?
Now, I probably need more time. I have to see if I can pull it up downstairs through all the entries
Mr.
and go into
McConkey is
all the
giving it till
mileage
June
sheets from a
2nd.
few years.
She was getting
Representative McConkey is giving her till June 2nd.
So you have until June 2nd to
Why
come up
do
with
I,
a proof?
why do I have till June 2nd?
I think the statement that Commissioner Babson just made, that Representative McConkey said you have until June 2nd to come up with a proof to him.
He cannot,
That you-
he cannot say that. He didn't file any 91A. He just asked for it.
I believe he did say
He
that.
didn't file any 91A.
Okay, but we do have a 91A.
I didn't see that. Where is the
Verbally-
91A?
You were here.
Verbally, Melissa Siemens made that verbally last week, and according to the 91A right to know law,
Okay,
you can do
she
it
made it.
verbally, okay?
I can see
Melissa
that.
Siemens, go ahead.
I actually, last Tuesday, I filed that right to know request in writing as per the procedure with the administrative assistant in the business office. So from the time I filed that in writing, that's when I would count the 5 days to start ticking. And given the holiday this week, that 5 days is up today, when the commission can either provide that information or respond in writing that the request is denied, or set, I would believe, a reasonable amount of time to provide the information. I hesitate to just go on an indefinite, agree to an indefinite postponement of this proof and this issue just going on and on and on until, I mean, that's kind of how we've gotten in trouble before, by just hoping it'll go away, I guess. Could I ask Commissioner, can I ask?
When did
Go
you
ahead,
put
go
it
ahead.
in? So I
Last
can make
Tuesday.
a note. Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, could you ask Commissioner Kenney what conference this was that she was at, where she saw this occur?
No, I have not.
Could you, please?
Commissioner Kenney, do you know what conference took place and the accusation where 5 people got out of a van and those 5 people put in for mileage? Do you know what conference that
I
was?
have-
Or the date that took
I have
place?
to check on that.
You have to what?
I have to check on that. Which conference?
Typically, it's my understanding that counties send representatives to the annual New Hampshire Association of Counties Conference, as well as the Primex Conference.
Right.
Was it one of those, and if so, which one and where?
I have to look at it.
Go ahead, Commissioner Babson.
I would suggest that Commissioner Kenney start thinking about looking it up, because we have a 5-day window to
Today's the day.
respond. And we either have to tell her we need more time, or Commissioner Kenney has to come up with some evidence of where it was.
Would it be in
Yeah,
order
we'll
to make a
respond.
motion to give Commissioner Kenney until June 2nd to come up with a proof of her accusations?
I'll second it for discussion.
I'll make the motion, okay?
I'll
You second
for
it?
discussion.
Go ahead.
I don't think we need to. It looked to me like the delegation, or at least one of the member of the delegation, has decided that he's had enough and he is going to take responsibility for it. And I believe we were all sitting here when Representative McConkey said he wanted the information by June 2nd, or that he would take care of it, or something to that effect.
Okay. I'll withdraw my motion if you withdraw your
I'll
second.
withdraw my second.
Okay, Commissioner Kenney, it's the recommendation to this board that you come up with proof by June 2nd to both this board and to Representative McConkey.
And when did Representative McConkey said the June 2nd? I didn't hear that.
When you were sitting right there at the table when he was
I
talking to you.
didn't hear that.
No, probably not.
Okay. So it's a recommendation to this board, you come up with that information. Also, it's a recommendation, I believe, if we need to take a vote, we can, that you answer the 91A request of Melissa Siemens. And if you need an extension, that extension is good until the 2nd of June. Any further comments? If not, not. Are you through, Melissa Seaman?
I just wanted to clarify that I would be receiving something in writing today.
Yep.
She will. She said yes, she would give you something in writing today.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Stan, you got your hand up?
Yeah, are there any consequences for reckless behavior on this board?
Apparently not. We've had this problem for the last 3 years, and we have not been able to move forward on it. I have talked to the Attorney General's office. They do not have any authority over commissioners. They do over county attorneys, but not over commissioners. I've been to the chairman of the delegation to talk about it, and nothing seems to be taking place. So we have to put up with this until the elections come up in November.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Well, I've been putting up with this nonsense for 3 years. You see, accusations about settlement, that I took settlements, bogus investigations. I have evidence and I can point all the irregularities, what he did, and say about me. If you read newspapers articles, she took jail inspections home, she returned jail file, she took non-public minutes home. Where is the evidence? These are all accusations and articles. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that I ever took a settlement file?
Okay. Last call for public input. Go ahead.
I just have a question of Commissioner Kenney.
Yes.
If indeed you saw this happen, we're going back to the 5 people getting out of van, and you noted that they had put in for, each had put in for mileage, why didn't you bring it up 2.5 years ago?
I brought it up.
To whom?
I talked to you.
No,
And to-
that
yes,
is that is so bogus.
Yes.
I don't even want to use the real word. I have to think.
Yes, I talked, and that is
Yes.
what you said. Everything is past practice, is past
No,
practice.
that's your
I
story.
remember that. That is what you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
you remember.
We're going to move on. We'll call the public comments. We're going back into public now, and the first item on the agenda is Lynette. Thank you for coming. Lynette, you're on for HR.
You should be on that board. You know how to do it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Join the happy
I need to
crowd.
take a breath. Hold on. I have an order form today, and I need a signature because the delegation had approved the funds for our MSDS online program, which I had brought forth through the commissioner's budget, a line item for safety as the global harmonization that is happening now that we need to be in compliance with, which is an OSHA. Even though we're not an OSHA state, we mirror what OSHA is. And the MSDS online program that was in the budget, which the delegation approved, it's ready to roll, but we need a signature on that. So I'm asking that, and just to kind of a brief overview as to the MSDS online is the program. It's the cloud program that will afford us, the whole entire county, the ability to have an online material safety data sheets, which will soon be safety data sheets with the whole globalization process that's happening right now. And this company will provide much assistance. I've had Jerry Gagney from this building, I've had Bob Murray and Joe Boyd be a part of the kind of the inception of this process, and they will be all administrators of this. and to oversee it where they are the ones responsible for all the chemicals handled by the employees and throughout the county. And they're very excited. I should say Bob's very excited because he has the biggest facility, and the ability for them to get all of the safety data sheets, all the labels, and all the necessary requirements by law, as well as moving forward with training the employees on the whole hazard communication program as a part of the Joint Loss Management Committee. So I just asked, I bring this to you and ask that I get a signature at some point so that we can start implementing this.
Okay, I think you need to add Will to that, because he used chemicals in the water, and he needs to have that
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
Go ahead.
When you just made the statement, or I understood you to make the statement, that we're not an OSHA state. I can't tell you how many places in my business OSHA's been in New Hampshire
Well,
fined.
for
What did you
public
mean by
sector,
that?
public sector, we fall under, public sector falls under the Department of Labor. So we mirror what OSHA is. So the public sector, us, the county, follows the Department of Labor. They're the ones who oversee us, not OSHA. Would OSHA get involved if there was a very serious incident or accident? They may partner up with the Department of Labor.
Well, my limited understanding of the law after being, I don't know how many seats for how long, but that the state can only be more stringent than the federal government. So if the state or the Department of Labor is mimicking OSHA, then I would think that yes, we may be under the Department of Labor, but at the minimum we have to meet all OSHA standards. So to say that we're not an OSHA, we don't have to be OSHA compliant, we may not. But we still have to meet their standards, because the only way we can be anything else is if the state's more restrictive than the federal government.
Yeah, which we follow the Department of Labor, and that's why I go to them for their guidance, because they're the ones who govern the public sector. And you're absolutely right, we mirror what, the Department of Labor mirrors what the OSHA standards would be.
Okay, thank you.
And if it dealt with agriculture, a pesticide permit is required, and under the pesticide regulations, there is OSHA or a safety portion of that, which is tested separately. In agriculture now, I don't know, that doesn't go with what you're just saying. You're saying that it's because we're a public entity that we have to go through the Labor Board, correct?
The Department of Labor, yeah.
Department of Labor.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
go ahead.
Maybe for the viewers, Lynette, to tell them what the MSTS is. I believe that's the procedure where you have to say where all your chemicals are, how they're being treated.
Storage.
What the location is
Right.
if they come.
Location, and especially having it available for employees if there was any exposures. So the whole hazard communication program, including material safety data sheets, which will be safety data sheets with this whole transition into the whole global harmonization that's happening, that has begun. You're absolutely right to have this available for the employees. By law, we have to have it. This will enable the desktop applications so that they are immediate access, and the dispatch center, Keith Brown, he will be involved also, because if there was an emergency, a 911 call would be made and it will go immediately to our dispatch center, and we would have that accessible right there for any exposures also. But to have this program and be kind of administrated by those people who are responsible for the chemicals in our buildings is very important, and to have everything accessible to us so that it's much more ease for the departments to get what they need, to be able to print labels out that are compliant labels, because if you walk around, sometimes you see a water bottle that doesn't have a label on it. Well, if we had an inspection, that absolutely would be something that is going to be identified as a violation.
A question I have, where would these MDS sheets be kept? Who would have them?
Well, they're going to be an icon on the desktops, on the computers. And the labels will be able to be printed out, and they will be available, as needed, instead of waiting for them to come from the manufacturers.
So I would assume that the minimum, those people that do have chemicals would have a copy of the MDS sheets
MSDSI,
at
yes.
their place
their
of
location.
business.
And also, I think, or as I recall, part of the regulation has to be at the local firehouse. They keep it down there in case they have to come here for
If
a
they have
spill
to,
or a fire, and they know whether there's, is it fair to assume that global harmonization isn't the whole world singing together?
It is. It's supposed to be. So we're all on the same page, which is why the whole global harmonization, the pictograms, so that there's not different labels, different
Well,
symbols.
that's right, it's all
Everything is the
standardized,
same.
that's right, too. I've
Right.
forgotten that, it's all standardized
Right. So
symbols
across-
for all the different chemicals.
Because right now you have a few different NFPA and you have a
Yeah.
few different standards,
Right.
and this will keep everyone to be consistent in case of any sort of.
And I would assume that signage needs to be placed wherever these
Mhm.
hazardous materials are stored.
They have to be labeled, yes.
Signage needs to be on something wherever they're stored.
Mm,
In case of pesticides, that's true.
For pesticides.
For
then
fire department
They need to know. what's-
issues and so
Yep.
forth? Okay.
Yep.
You have that
So-
form. Is it,
What is the threshold for this? David raises a lot of blueberries, does a lot of spraying, apple farmers. Where does the MSD kick in? At any level for
Any-
industry
any-
except agriculture?
anything other than water?
Any chemical that you have.
You have to do this up at
Any
your place too,
spray.
David?
Yep, yep,
Even at your size?
yep.
Huh.
Well, that falls underneath the pesticide permit,
It's like
which I
3,000.
have to
That's
have.
right, too.
And anything that's sprayed on any crop other than water, you need to have, and the crop is sold commercially or available to the public, you have to have a pesticide license, and that's through the Department of Agriculture. Now, this system is maybe a little bit different, but we have to abide by the law. So, do I hear a motion that we sign and agree to this
MSDS
MDS globalization
application,
Online program.
online program?
I'll
I'll make a motion,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we approve and sign the order form for the MSDS online educational program that we're required to have.
I'll second it.
So,
Any further discussion?
Yeah, question. So you're telling me that all counties have to do that? Everyone is doing this and have to
Not-
comply with this?
Not everybody may be doing this piece, but everyone has to comply with the law, yes.
So this piece, the other counties are not doing it?
I don't know if they're doing it or not.
It doesn't matter. If we're going to do it,
It's a
we're gonna
program
do it.
that we wanted to implement as a part of our Joint Loss Management Committee, as well as this health and safety of the entire, all of the county facilities, and to be in compliance and to be ahead of the curve with providing the training to the employees as well as what is coming in the future, because with the global harmonization, it's a step process that is being done throughout the entire country as well as the world, but there are different areas which we need to have the labels, the training, and the manufacturers are kind of in their process right now with developing the standardized labels and information. So I don't know what the other counties are doing at this point, but we wanted to be in compliance, and if they're doing an online program or not, I don't know, but this was, it was talked about at our committee, and it was presented to some of the people who are responsible, and they thought it was a very good idea, and we just wanted to be ahead of the game.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye?
Aye. All those opposed, nay. I didn't hear how you voted.
I already voted.
In the positive?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't hear you, sorry. All right, so the motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Howie and Jen. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Now, I think you all know Jen Giavacci, our Director of Admissions. If not, I want to
we do.
introduce her to you.
Morning.
And it wouldn't be a meeting without paperwork, would it?
Can you have 2 minutes of that? Thank you.
Pass those
Yeah,
along.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a few things to update you about, the first being a sad report. And one that was actually made even sadder today. Well, so we've lost a staff member. Brenda Libby passed away on Monday. And we learned today that a former staff member, Patrick Stewart, before my time, died this morning as well.
She, her daughter works for us?
Lisa Napadano.
Oh, okay.
We'll be having an in-house service this afternoon at 12:30. And I believe they'll be visiting hour, I think the visiting hours, as they were a little tentative yesterday, need to confirm that, but it'll be a week from Friday, on June 6th.
A week from this Friday?
A week from this Friday. I think they're waiting for another family member to come in from out of state, is what I was told.
Okay. Okay.
So that's...
I'll try to be there. Go
That's
ahead.
hard news, and it actually comes with what's really been a very difficult month. Just in May to date, we've lost 7 residents. It's been
7,
very
yeah.
unprecedented, and there's, I think, 5 other transfers, or discharges, typically to home on top of that. So it's been a, we thought we had it difficult around the holidays when we lost so many residents between
Mhm.
Christmas and New Year's. This is turning to be a equally difficult time, and culminating with the loss of Brenda. Even though it's somewhat expected, it's still a shock.
Yep. Commissioner Babson,
Just-
you asked.
I realize it's a sad occasion, but I gotta ask the question, Howie, how many open beds do we have as a result of all of this at this point? Or Jen, can you tell?
We have 11.
11?
How many?
11.
We have 11 open beds.
We've had 12 discharges this month
6
alone.
deaths, 4 discharges, and 2 admits. We have those that we're looking to fill at the moment.
So we had, I believe we talked last week about a special case. We got a letter. Do you think you can look into it now, if there's maybe a room available?
In fact, we're going to be talking to you about what we're doing in terms of admission protocol, in terms of how we deal with the wait list coming up. But certainly this is unprecedented in the last 3 years to have this kind of vacancy, but it's also unprecedented to have 12 discharges in 25 days.
Is it because our policy that we haven't filled those 11 beds?
Oh, not at all.
No.
Then-
No, this is just because
In
they
the
all
last 2
came up
weeks,
so
we've had
suddenly.
6 deaths.
We've got plenty of people on
In
the...
the last 2 weeks, we've had 6 deaths, and we've had...
Last week?
Last 2 weeks, we've had
Last 2
6
weeks.
deaths and 4 discharges to the community.
Okay.
We've got a very large waiting list, David, so there's no problem with filling the beds. We gotta get the right person for the right situation.
Okay, then the question I would have then is, how long does it normally take, how many days does it normally take to fill a bed? Depending on the circumstances, I'm sure is going to be the answer, right?
It very much is the answer. It depends on the circumstances. We need to have all the paperwork in. We need to get the approval in-house. We need to get the approval from the physician. There are certain criteria that people on the outside need to meet, from TB test, PPD. We have to have them TB tested prior to coming in, which can be done through planting a PPD in the skin, or it can be through a chest X-ray. We have to, there's a lot of hoops we have to jump through bringing in each and every person. It's not so much as saying your application is here, you're on the list, you're next. It doesn't work. And
I don't want to belabor the point, but I think it's important. What process is used to admit a person, other than the paperwork, and that you go or somebody goes and checks out the patient?
Depending on the situation.
Yep.
When you're looking at someone who is not cognitively intact, yes, we usually do a visitation, either have them come to the community or visit them elsewhere.
Okay, then after that, what process within house takes place? Do you have the authority to admit somebody? Or do
No.
you have to go to Howie?
No, I do not have the authority to admit somebody. I have the authority to bring it forward.
Okay, then where does it go?
It goes to the team, looking to see, can we meet this person's needs medically? There are things we cannot do in-house, such as providing a one-to-one. If someone is combative, if someone is exit-seeking, we may not be able to meet their need.
So this goes to a team?
Yep. So
That
we're looking at
reviews it.
them, right.
And how
After
long does that take?
Not too long. It can be, depending on what's going on in-house, it can take longer. When we have people who are actively dying, when we have people who are discharging, when we have surprises that we're not expecting, it can take
Yeah.
longer to deal with those things.
If you have several potential candidates, can several of those be brought before this team to review so that they know ahead of time
Yes and no.
that they can be accepted or they can't be accepted?
Yes and no. It's a very good question. It's a very valid question. But the problem you run into is because today you're telling me I'm looking at your information right here, right now, today, but I may not be able to take you in right here, right now, today. Something could happen. You could have a stroke. You could fall and break a hip.
Yeah.
Something significant can happen, and what you now need may be something we can't provide. So right here, right now, looking at you today, you may
Yeah.
look okay. A month from now, I need new information to make sure we can still meet your needs.
So there's no way of speeding this up, is what you're saying?
Well, there are issues when you're looking at response times, because we also have to send this out to a physician and ask the physician, can we meet this need? So I'm waiting for physician approval. Depending on whether it's someone who's coming in skilled or someone who's coming from the community, there are different regulations that we have to meet. If it's someone who's coming in skilled, they have to be seen within 48 hours of coming into the building, which means I have to have a physician who is ready and available and willing to come into this building.
Can
to
any
see them.
physician do that?
No. Well, it should be the physician who is taking the person on. Technically speaking, we probably could cover it.
It should be one of our own, but
It
our
has to
medical
be one of
director
ours.
can back up.
I'll get to you in a minute.
I can't take a hospitalist as the admitting physician unless they were the person who was coming over to see the individual. It needs to be someone who is within our facility.
So it can't be a
Your-
medical doctor?
It can't be your family doctor who does not have admitting privileges to our facility, if that's what you're asking. We need to have it be one of the docs that's going to oversee the person's care while they're there.
Okay, then the next question would be, how does a medical doctor get approved by the facility?
We are more than willing. All they need to do is bring their credentials to us and allow us to make sure that they fit whatever it is they're supposed to do from your standpoint.
Pretty much, if they have hospital privileges, it's going to be an easy matter with us. We're just looking to be sure that they will come and see their residents on a regular basis.
And we need to have the credentialing in-house.
Okay, go ahead. Commissioner, sorry, keep you
Couple
waiting.
of things. I guess we've moved to number 6 and 7 on this list.
Well, I haven't looked at the list, so I
Well,
don't know.
maybe you should.
Okay,
Okay.
It's admission policy review.
okay.
In talking to Jen a while back, I guess I was flabbergasted at what goes into an admissions selection. And we've had a policy here that we all agreed to probably a year ago. From what I've seen, it doesn't appear to be working very well. And I think it's time that we think about doing things a different way. I know I've come probably 180 degrees. I used to think that where you live maybe took precedent over, or how many taxes you paid took precedent over someone that didn't. But I'd like to suggest, with Howie's and Jen's okay, that we begin looking at a policy that we don't have a written admissions policy that at the time we have an empty bed, then admissions makes the best decision they can on who they can take and who fits in, and other requirements the potential resident might have. To continue to get letters to say I signed up in November of 2013, I signed up in 2012, and I haven't gotten in yet. It isn't working, and it's just making people angry.
What is this? What page is that?
You've got to turn the page. You know what, I think Howie got a little tight with his paper, I think.
Some are printed on two sides.
Might be that one,
To
Dave.
save
There it is.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry I got off on a tangent. Why don't you go ahead and present your information that you came prepared for?
Well, what we
Howie.
had, up until this point, we revised the admission policy, and we put great emphasis on the needs-based component of catering to those who needed it most urgently. And we did so at the expense, perhaps, of those that had been on the list for a longer time, specifically those who might be in other long-term care facilities. So we actually started meeting May 5th, before the last question was raised, to address this, because this might be the presenting issue, but it also comes up pretty regularly. And decided that we needed to rebalance, because the way we're doing it effectively means that if anybody went to an outside nursing home, their likelihood of coming in is less and less, and in their mind, and I think reasonably so, that's not fair. That there is a sense of fairness tied to timing. Not that we should be just timing, because I think we still need to leave Jen plenty of flexibility for truly unusual circumstances. But I think we need to start waiting more and more to the wait list itself, and actually start letting those people know more and more about where they are and how they stand.
Are we reciprocating with other nursing homes? If they admit a person from Carroll County, can we move them quickly to our facility? Is it reciprocating, or do we have to go through the whole process?
You have to go through the whole process.
We have to.
But we don't treat somebody who's in Laconia or Meredith as being out of county. If they've always lived in Carroll County,
Yeah.
and have moved to Meredith or
I
Laconia,
understand
we
that.
treat them as Carroll County.
Yeah.
But we don't treat them as being as in a critical need. In fact, we've been looking at it just the opposite. They're safe and stable and being cared for,
Yeah.
so they're a lower priority for us. But at some point, being there 2 years, how does that compare to somebody who applied 3 weeks ago and comes in? That's perceived as being unfair, unless there's a real critical need with that person from 3 weeks ago.
Commissioner Babson?
I think, Howie, that's exactly why I've changed my feelings, that if we have a waiting list and we keep sending out letters that we're aware that you're on the waiting list, and hopefully you're not giving them a number, but I think you've stated exactly the problem, that you're sending out people, letting them know they're on the list, and then they find out that their neighbor who put their name in a month and a half ago is in the been admitted, and they've been on the list for 2 years. That's why I strongly suggest we would have no entrance policy, except perhaps if everything was equal and you lived in Carroll County and the other person lived in Belknap County, then you take the one for Carroll County, because I can't see anything but us getting in a bigger mess the way this is going. I guess I'm all in favor of throwing out the wait list. Just let people know that we know you're looking for a facility. If you'd like to keep us updated, fine. And if we have an opening and you fit our needs, we will contact you.
The
Or
risk,
something to that.
the
something to
potential
that.
risk with that is that if we say we have no list, and it's essentially first come, first serve at the time, it means everybody who's interested will be calling all the time, trying to protect themselves and their loved one. So a list does provide some sense of order. Now, and I just think we have to balance the priorities a little bit better. Case in point, gal called me last night for her husband, a Carroll County person, and they're actually applying to the Veterans Home, but we're looking for an interim option with us. And I had to discourage her from doing that because there was no way that we could do, there wasn't anything that would suggest expedited. I didn't want to mislead her, and she was interested in saving money, and I recommended to her that assisted living would be the best temporary option. But at least,
But there's no assisted living in Carroll County.
But there isn't. So but she's actually worked for assisted living in Belknap County, so identified options for her, knowing that it'd be temporary and far less expensive. But she's looking, the Veterans Home is telling her that it's going to be 8 or 9 months. They're telling her something, so she can do some kind of future planning. I'm afraid that if we have people knocking on our door, they're going to want to hear something. They can take bad news, but no news. Or if it seems arbitrary and capricious, they're not going to have confidence in the system. They're going to think it's going to be a matter of who you know instead of it being an organized process. And I don't think that would reflect well on the county, the commissioners, or on us.
Can we hear from Jim? Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, but first, you raise a point about veterans. Are we approved to bring in veterans into our nursing home?
We can bring in veterans, but we are not approved to receive VA monies.
Why?
It's easy with assisted living. It's actually the whole, and it's not impossible. No other county home's doing it. It is something we need to look at.
We don't have a veterans home in Carroll County. I would think that we would find out what it takes to accept veterans and receive veterans benefits that they're entitled to in our nursing home.
It's not impossible, but in order to receive $1 of veterans benefit, you have to change everything you do about the other 102 beds as well. So it's not a simple matter of dealing with the one veteran who's a resident. Is all the processes have to be geared around that one. So it's not impossible, but it is something that we need to look at. Okay. Both because it brings in revenue and it serves the veterans of the county.
Okay. Commissioner Babson asked for your comment.
Well, I appreciate what Howie's saying, and I also hear what you're saying. There's a perception issue, and that is really what you're dealing with. The perception that the county has is that if there's a need, they're going to get a bed. If their name is on the list, that's it. They're all set. And that perception is not correct. We have a really high need for individuals looking for long-term care in Carroll County. Our population is aging. I want to say that perhaps, I heard somewhere along the line that Carroll County might actually have one of the highest
in 15 years, yes, it's going to be double. 48%, something like that.
So our county is actually very high with those, and going higher every day, so to speak.
Yep.
We have 103 beds. We can't meet the need. So the question is, how do we meet the need? Right now, if you're thinking 6 months down the road, you might be putting an application in. If you're thinking 2 or 3 years down the road, I might be seeing you for an application. I'm not ready yet, but I want to be on the list. There's a perception that being on the list means that you are going to get into the home, and that's not a reality.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have something with me because I thought we were going to have a meeting today, and so.
Is there any way of taking those people that are in dire need versus somebody that is not?
That's where I would go, because I would say probably a third of the people on our list, and I will say our list is well over 100. Well over.
It says 185.
Yep.
No.
It's actually 185.
So you actually looked at my list. Thank you.
It's exactly 185.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to tell you. I wasn't going to give an actual number because it's really daunting to those looking to get in.
Yeah.
But when we're looking at that application in, that's just one piece of the process.
But it could give you a pretty good indication, couldn't it?
It could. It gives me an indication that I've got someone over at Sugar Hill who knows at some point in time they're not going to be able to stay there anymore and they want to get in. So they've got their application in. We need to change what we're doing and how we're doing it. Honestly, unless you're looking to get them in within the next 3 months, maybe we shouldn't be applying. You know, maybe we need to get that stringent. Are you looking 3 months from now? Now to 3 months? Are you ready to move in? Where are you? because collecting applications for people who are not ready for a year, 2 years, you're kind of clogging up the process. And honestly, the bigger issue is we're not going to be able to take everybody. We have people who don't have the resources to go to private institutions, even though Carroll County has them. When I came in 6 years ago, it has always been, need has been something that was very important for us to look at. And if we stop taking that into account, we have people who are going to slip through the cracks. And while I hear the situation where we're talking about someone who's been on the list and someone who's safe, I actually have a situation in hand, and I think you folks, you're referring to that letter, where this lady's actually put her husband on in December. I think it says November, which is not accurate. The application is dated for December. Her husband is safe. She's new to my list. Just last week, I received an application as well as, or the week before, I received an application from another lady whose husband is in the community. And then I received a letter from someone, fire chief, local fire chief, telling me that since December they've been there, I believe it was 26 or 28 times. My number might be a little off.
28.
28. So their fire department's been there 28 times to pick up this person off the floor because this young lady, elder lady, is not able to pick her 200-some-pound husband who has a cognitive disorder up off the ground, and he can't get himself up either. So you're looking at an unsafe situation. You're looking at utilizing resources in the community in a manner that could put others in jeopardy if the fire department actually needs to be somewhere else in the ambulance. Technically speaking, if we're going by this list, what we're looking at is my December 2013 person would be a higher rating than this individual in the community who's unsafe and using up resources in a manner that could put others at risk. You tell me where do you go with this?
That's a perfect example why I don't think we should have a waiting list.
Yeah, I do too. I guess if I was a taxpayer, and I am, in Carroll County, and we have 11 empty beds, and we have so many people that want to get in, why aren't we getting them in? What's the big holdup? 11 empty beds. Go ahead.
I really think that's unfair. I know you don't mean it to be, but I
I'm
think
not-
it's unfair. Have you been over to Jen's office and looked around?
Yes, I have.
And
It's a nightmare.
It's
And your desk, yeah.
close, it's close, it's
Looks
close.
like mine.
Closest thing I've seen to my house. And if you, when you talk to her, you find out it isn't like, well, we got an empty bed and send over your applicant. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and if we had 8 or 9 people die in the last week, I think it's unreasonable to feel that we should have all of those filled by now. If you're the chosen one, we have a process for getting in, and it takes time. And I won't belittle them for having 9 empty beds this week, but if they have them in a week and a half, then maybe I'll feel differently, because from what I've seen, it's not an easy job. I wouldn't want Jen's job, but she's the one that has to make the decision who's coming in and who isn't.
Yeah.
And this is why she convinced me that, I don't know whether she meant to or not, but a waiting list is not the way to go.
On average, over the last 3 years, we only have 3 admissions per year, 3 admissions per month, excuse me. So this is a fluky situation that isn't a systems-based thing. This happens because we had 12 discharges between transfers and deaths in just in the last 2.5 weeks. So this is a very unusual circumstance that might never present itself again, but it does raise, almost separate from this is the issue of, well, how best to fill them. It'd be a mistake. There is no quick way to fill the beds, because the state doesn't allow us to make the mistakes with admissions, and we want to be prudent and careful. So the beds will certainly be full. We're not suffering as some county homes are with essentially a marketing problem, where they have a chronic empty beds problem. That's not our problem at all. It's a matter of how best to fill them. in a way to be fair and consistent with what you expect.
I want to go back once. Are we holding any beds open?
We would like to hold 1 or 2 beds open at a given time for skilled, but just 1 or 2. This is not this is in no way a reflection of our desire to increase our skilled
Howie,
census.
the question is, are we holding any beds open, not what we want to do? Are
Well,
we holding
when
beds
a
open?
bed comes available in Socorro North, we do want to hold it. So that if we did get a request from a hospital for, the hospital is the only time we have expedited admissions. If the hospital calls this morning, we could conceivably have a skilled admission this afternoon. So having a bed or 2 in Socorro available is a very desirable thing. But we're talking 1 or 2. We're not talking 10 or 11.
Go ahead.
I actually just wanted to share some information. Admits from the previous years, 2013 I had 27, 2012 I had 33, 2011
Jen,
I
can you
had...
slow up 2011 what?
Here, I can do better, because this
Oh.
was for you today. We usually have an admissions meeting on Tuesday, and I actually had to leave. So, because I had an appointment yesterday that I had to go to. That was personal. But you look at the number of admits in the previous years, which was 27, 33, 31, 28. This year, and we are only in May, we've already done 23 admissions.
Wow.
Okay, I have done 10 discharged back to the community, and if you look at the previous discharges in the previous years, 2012 I did 11, but prior to that you're looking at 6, 4, and 8. We are turning them over, having them come in and come out. We've had a rash of deaths in the last 2 weeks. We've had a number of deaths that have been more than usual since December.
We're on track for doing roughly more than twice what we do in a typical year.
With each one of these admissions, discharges, deaths, the amount of paperwork is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Do you need more help?
If you could clone me, that would be great.
I thought we had another assistant.
But
She's not cloned.
no,
Okay.
she has a full complement of duties with what she's doing. Because from a social service standpoint, there are things that you need to do as well.
Other
right?
than admissions.
Other than
Yeah.
admissions.
Yeah.
Doing
So you are
MDSs
fully
meetings.
responsible for admissions?
And Lisa
And
helps
she
me out
has
here
the
and
other.
there when I need to, and she's
Okay.
got a full complement as well.
Okay.
You have me doing admissions, discharge, and also following part of the building for social services.
Okay.
So I'm essentially doing 3 different jobs. And Lisa is doing full-time social services as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You have 103 residents in there. So I'm following 2639 of those residents, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the rest are being followed by Lisa.
Right there, David's a problem. Where's that line?
I read it.
Proficient available for admission, so they can do all the work, and if they haven't had the
Now you're
physician,
understanding what I'm
don't
running
show
up
up or
against.
don't do what they,
So-
give them the work, we can have all the empty beds we want, but we can't fill them.
But why don't we have a physician?
Well, we have
You
some
haven't
physician
seen us.
coverage problems, and Becky and I are working on that. It is not working the way that it should, and so we are both trying to encourage.
Didn't you tell me at one time you were going to try to get somebody out of some other place?
We're looking at all options.
Okay.
How are you, May 5th, you had a meeting for a new admissions policy. What are you doing? What's going on in these meetings?
Meeting with Becky, the idea, and along with Lisa and Jen, bringing the entire team together to it's not because things aren't going quickly, but to be sure that we're dealing with all the implications. Because part of it, who's acceptable medically, it's a matter of being sure that we're all on the same page at the same time. Be sure that things aren't getting turned down medically that we should be accepting, just to be sure that.
Excuse me, Howie. You said this on May 5th was a gathering to study the admissions policy. Now you're telling us they're meeting to decide who's going to come in and who isn't going to come in. My question is, what are you doing on your May 5th, or whenever this committee meets, on correcting the problem with admissions.
May 5th, the point to look at there would be C, admissions from home or transfer from other long-term care facilities. You know,
Where is that, Howard?
that is on it's on the minutes of the May 5th meeting. It says May 5th at the top, admissions meeting.
Can you find that for you?
I got it right here, Dave.
Okay.
It's gotta be
Okay.
by a process
So-
of elimination, there we go.
No, right
So
here.
it's a matter where we,
No, it's just what he's talking about right here, the
Okay.
minutes of the meeting.
well, you know, it was actually kind of the guidelines. It's actually my notes, it's more of an agenda than it is minutes. But to look at what would do with that, because what we're finding when we're having completely separate meetings, when, you know, we could end up having a backlog with dealing with the medical part or dealing with the priority part. It's just easier to bring everybody together to get everything done and to have that weekly meeting going forward. But it was also a time under C, because even back in May, we're still getting calls from people on the wait list wondering where they are and how should we balance the person who's recently applied and who's in urgent need compared to the person who had been in urgent need and went to a nursing home thinking that was going to be temporary at some point.
Howie?
So I don't want you to think the issues aren't being addressed.
Howie, I guess I'm still confused. You have on this page here, number 7, on May 5th, we began to take a fresh look at our admissions policy out of a concern that those who went to other facilities because we were full. Now I look over here at, you called it the agenda for May 5th, admissions meeting. I don't see anything in here that's a discussion on the admissions policy. I see it as a discussion on who can come in and who can't.
We'll see.
Admissions from home or from transfer from other facilities.
That's the
Okay,
part.
I'm sorry, I
that-
stand
Yeah,
corrected.
that's the biggest
Yeah.
part of the policy, because our policy had been, you know, to treat those in long-term care facilities as being safe and stable, and therefore always secondary to anybody who had an immediate problem. Looking now to how to balance that, because otherwise, if we might as well tell somebody if they're in another nursing home that we're not going to call, and if we're not going to accept them, we should tell them that, because otherwise they keep, and reasonably so, expecting it. And you have heard this in the past from Wolfboro Bay and also from Golden View, people who have called you saying that they've been on the list. We need to find a way to balance that. We don't want to give up the flexibility to deal with those that are in a unique and urgent need situation. And we should be able to do that. We want to keep priority with hospice, because with hospice, an admission delayed is really an admission denied. And so we need to be sure that we accept people. Now, the good and bad news is we're serving the community better. The problem ends up being, it ends up making a lot more work. Our length of stay, the reason we're having so many admissions, so many discharges, is our length of stay is going down. And that's not uncommon, and it's not wrong, but it certainly makes things a lot more difficult. Instead of having 103 beds that are constantly full and you have just 3 admissions a month, we're going to an average that's going to be closer to 10 admissions a month. And so it's almost three times as busy, because each admission, each discharge is a complicated process.
Each question's answered?
Yeah, I just got a question, yeah.
Asha, your question, go ahead.
Question. How long does it take before you can admit someone? Is it like 2 to 3 days or?
It depends on how responsive someone is to getting the information back. So if I'm calling you and saying, okay, I need your medical, I need this, I need that, you need to make sure if this person's had their PED or a chest x-ray that's less than 30 days old, how fast are you responding to me?
Okay.
If you're responding to me and getting me that information within a day or two, and I have what I need, I can probably have you in within a day or two.
Okay.
But if you're not responding as quickly as I need you to, even though you may be doing the best you can based on circumstances in your home, it may take me a few extra days.
Okay. My second question is, so at this time, we don't have any veterans in the home?
We
Oh,
do
yes.
have
what you're
veterans
telling
in the
me?
home.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we do?
We do, we have many.
But they're not being paid by Veterans
Like you
Administration.
said.
Correct.
Oh.
You know, either private pay or
Or
Or Medicaid or Medicare.
Medicaid.
there's another source of payment other than
Okay.
veterans.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So what are we doing about this situation?
I was just
I'm
gonna
as-
say, so where do we move from here?
I'm as frustrated as Commissioner Babson is, I guess. We have 11 beds that are not filled. We have a problem with our physician not being available. We have a list of 185, but maybe 100 of those are put on the waiting list. Probably like my mother-in-law,
Yep,
who
similar.
probably will not come.
But they're there.
Can you separate those out at all?
Well, I will need to call 185 people and see exactly where they are. And Lisa Howard and I actually were talking about.
Take my mother-in-law off the list.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
But we were actually talking about,
184 now.
in looking at the list, we were actually talking about, because it's impossible to stay in touch with 185 people on a monthly basis, I'm sorry, and balance everything else. You can't do that. We were actually looking
Can
at.
you do it electronically?
If I have everyone's email.
I like,
Do you request that when they?
We hadn't prior, but it may be something we want to put on the application.
Because then you could,
so I like Jen's idea. We need to separate out those who just want to be in communication with us, with those who are ready and willing to move in if called. And whether that's a 60-day window or a 90-day window, that's going to cut an awful lot of people, your mother-in-law included, right off that list.
I want to narrow it down even more. What I want to do is create a mailing to everyone on the list that says, are you ready within 2 weeks to 3 months? Where are you? Are you looking 6 months down the road? Are you looking 9 months down the road? Are you looking a year? If you're in that 2 week to 3 month period of time, get your medical in. Because just because you have an application in doesn't mean we can meet your need.
yeah, go ahead.
Jen, what's wrong with the possibility of setting up I don't want to call it a sliding scale, but from 3 to 6 months, we need to hear from you once in that 3 month period where you are physically, health-wise. And then when we get down to 90 days or maybe 60 days, we need to hear from you each month so that you're able to appraise the failings that have happened in the previous 30 days or 40 days. So by the time you get down to 2 weeks, you have some idea of, or a better idea now than you do now, who is in critical need of a place to go.
Every person who comes into the building, they are told, please keep me apprised of what's going on. If there is a medical change, if something happens, call me and let me know, because I need that information.
Well, out of
Because we do look at these.
185, Jen, how many would you say are doing that?
I have actually a lot who call on a regular basis. I would say probably 30 who give me information.
Okay.
Okay, Howie, you're administrator. What are we gonna do?
Well, we're going to start by you always start by trying to minimize the problem, by managing the problem. In this case, the 185 is not a useful number. So we need to winnow that down to the 30, 40, or 50 that's manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully by actually giving Jen and Lisa more administrative support help through Sasha to be able to handle some of this so that they don't have to be bogged down with paperwork on top of the clinical part. But we need to find a way to get those responses down, so we find out how many we have on an active list and how many want to be on an inactive list. And then we can focus on that.
We don't want to have an inactive list, from my perspective.
We don't wanna have a,
I don't think we want to have an inactive list. I think honestly, you need to have an active list.
an active
If you're
list.
going to have a list, and there's a factor we're not taking into consideration, which is just because you put an application in, there might be someone in that community, such as what I was just telling you about, who needs that immediate, right here, right now, that may need to trump a different situation. You can't do it as a numbers game. You have to look at, in that building, you have to look at the dementia areas, you have to look at the cognitively attacked areas. You have to look at the makeup on each household when you're bringing someone in. It's not just a matter of, I have an applicant to go in this dementia bed. If I have a very heavy household where I've got 6 people who are total feeds, total need, I can't bring in another total feed, total need on that household. You'll tip it over, which will affect the needs of everyone else who is living there. So there's a balancing act that goes to it as well. And it's really hard to explain this to the public, for them to understand what goes on. And to put a number on it, to say you're number this or number that, you're giving someone a situation that may not be a realistic situation, or a perception, which is part of what your public problem is. It's that perception.
Well, we need to do something, because what we have isn't working.
I agree.
What do you suggest?
First suggestion is what I was saying, which is see exactly where those needs are. Second suggestion would be, at this juncture, if someone's looking to get into the nursing home 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, and I get both, don't take that application unless they are looking for an immediate need. And you also still have to take into the factor that I have hospitals calling me. So you have different, I've got VNA calling. I mean, there are different community members. I have the Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services that may be calling because of situations that are arising. You have a lot that goes into account. I actually think Commissioner Babson, while I hate the idea of not having a list, maybe onto something as in we need to really do something different from what we're doing. There was a point in time when what we were doing made a lot of sense because we did not have full beds. Because at that point in time, we didn't even have to say necessarily it had to be a Carroll County resident, because we had so many openings when I first started 6 years ago. It's not a problem anymore. We have to change procedurally the whole thing that we're doing, the perception we're giving.
Why don't we have Howie and Jen come in back in here in 2 or 3 weeks?
About a week.
Well, they can do it in a week. I don't want to push them there. They got other things to do. But somehow get back to us with some kind of a proposal that we can actually get down and discuss. And certainly they know more about it than you and I and Asha do.
Well, two things that bother me. One, we have 11 empty beds. Second, we have a list of 185. The 185 is
ridiculous.
Is what?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, out of the 185, like my mother-in-law was put on a list 3 years ago. Well, there needs to be a way of identifying those people and getting them off the list. They're not on an active list. So we get it, narrow that down.
But again, that's changing exactly what we're doing procedurally.
Okay.
So it's changing the perception of how we're doing things,
Yeah.
and the procedure of how we're doing things, which is great. Fully agree.
And the other thing is, we need to get a physician that's readily available that will help us carry out the process. And that's up to you.
That is being worked on.
Okay.
When can you come in, Howie, with some kind of insurance that something's been done about it?
That's less than clear, because when we talk about a medical director, we're also talking about the attending physician for about 65% of the residents. So it's not just a administrative position that you swap. When you make that change, you're changing. The expectation is you're changing a lot of things with a lot of residents. So it's a very major change.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Howie's coming in here a little later for a non-public session. I think when we start discussing physicians and hospitals, that we probably, for our own protection, ought to be in a non-public session if we're going to talk about personalities. And
Okay.
we bring that up later and at some future date, make it public after we hassled it over.
Okay.
Because we are talking about individuals.
Okay. Good point. Jen, you got any last thing to say about admission? You probably have plenty more, right?
It would take a long time.
Okay. Howie, you want to continue with your update or your report of the nursing home?
I do. I got just a few things for you.
Go ahead.
Noteworthy is that we've received 2 donations in the last week. I think you had been updated previously about Bill Blackwood and his mother, Leona O'Connor, and he has The check is on my desk, made out to the Friends of Mountain View for $2,000. So he has stood behind his commitment, and that check is here. And the guy should be back right about this time with a piano from our former Director of Nursing, Cheryl Delisle, who donated a piano, which is very kind and generous of her. The Home Depot Veterans Park installation has been delayed. They had some staffing issues and problems with when they were going to do it in May, so they should be here June 11th. Number 4, the New Hampshire County Special Long-Term Care Subcommittee. Paula and I attended the first and so far the only meeting of that. And the heart of it is this: the counties pay for elder care in their counties. The state kind of calls the shots through care management, and a number of different agencies and providers get paid to provide those services. What this group is seriously looking at is, well, looking at it through the county's eyes, that if the county's paying for it, maybe they should have some control over it, thinking that the money would be better spent, that the counties know their counties better, and could make better use of the same money. Everything we're talking about, realizing the political sensitivities, is budget neutral. It would mean shifting money that the state presently is doing in case management, in this theory, to the counties. So they would control it. So it's not at all a definite thing. We think the biggest obstacle here would actually be the State Department of Health and Human Services, who might not be willing to relinquish that control, but it is being explored. The Primex conference, I've attached a couple-page summary. I think that even though the conference itself is at no charge, direct charge to the county, that if you send people, you have the right to expect what they learn. So gave you the summary there. It was an excellent conference, by the way. I was very impressed. This is my first of the Primex annual meeting conferences. They brought in excellent speakers, they had excellent concurrent sessions. I gave you a summary of the sessions I went to and how what went on there will apply to what we're doing at Mountain View. And that is all I have for you of a general nature.
Okay, anybody have any questions of Howie? I guess we've bombarded them enough with questions. I hope you don't take it personally. We just need to find out how we can be more efficient at the nursing home. And hopefully you can come back with a report that corrects the situation so that we can move a little quicker in admitting people. I tend to agree. Get rid of that list. Narrow it down to those people that are really in need of having a place where their relatives can be comfortable in saying this person is being taken care of and is presently in Mountain View. So with that said, thank you very much for your input.
Thank you, Commissioner.
David?
Yeah.
Before we go into non-public session, a couple of work session items.
Okay.
What did either one of you think of the email from Wendy Scribner?
I did not get an email from Wendy Scribner. Not on my computer.
Asha?
I didn't receive any email.
Were you the only one that got it?
What is it about?
Find it hard to believe I was the only one that got it. She wants us to go to the county attorney and find out where and if we have some leverage in the mess that was created up in the woodlot, and which will weigh heavily in her bargaining chip with the individual.
Would it be easier and more efficient for her to do that? Talk with our county attorney, find out what the legal matters are? She knows the
I think
circumstances,
I
very
think,
well.
yeah, well, that possibly is true, but it would appear to me that she figures that we probably would have a little more influence over our county attorney than she would. Not sure she's right about that.
So what would she like?
Well, I'll get a copy of the email if you don't have it or haven't read it, and,
I haven't, I
maybe you didn't get
don't
it.
want you to say I haven't read it, I haven't got it.
Okay, well, I do, and I
Okay.
will print it out downstairs, and
Okay.
you two can take a look at it. And the other thing we didn't bring up is we've got a problem with the shrubbery around the nursing home. As you know, it appears that
Yep.
most of them didn't make it. And we should have asked Howie, or who is responsible for replacing those things?
It's been over a year, we guaranteed a year of
Yeah, it's awesome.
successful take of the plants. So I think it belongs to us now.
Was it
Well,
all?
It was actually, we replaced them last year. They stood behind
Yeah.
it. There's an outfit, I believe, from Maine, who came in and replaced it. So our assumption is that we get that the year clock, we arrogantly assume that we get a new year replacement guarantee on it.
Then would you follow up on it?
We are, now, but in talking to both Bob and Becky, these bushes, and I'm not sure what they are, they came through last year at the last minute, so we're not convinced that they're completely dead yet. But,
Boy, I twisted some stems the other day and they were dead as a doornail.
oh, then maybe these haven't made it, so.
They're the ones right out where you walk in on the
Oh, exactly.
right-hand side, at least. Those are the ones I checked.
Well, let's.
And they're supposed to be native plants, so I don't understand what happened to them, but there's been a lot of winter kill this year on a lot of different things. You notice the forsythia didn't bloom all the way to the top. That's a variety thing. But there's been a lot of winter kill on a lot of plants.
So we should at least try. We shouldn't go without trying to get them replaced. at the very
Okay.
least.
Okay. And let us know if they can't be replaced. Got anything else?
No,
Do you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay. It looks like we have two non-public sessions coming up. You have, Sheriff, you have something?
Things that probably can go public.
This is in replace of non-public?
No.
Or you still want to go non-public? Okay.
First thing is, I got 4 copies of the contract, the union contract to be signed.
Okay.
I know we left one for Commissioner Kenney to sign, but their attorneys have sent 4 copies for the commission to sign. I've signed them and they've signed them, so.
Okay.
If these could get signed and returned to me today, that would be good. And just needs one signature, I believe. And then just to update on one of the grants has been approved for the regional dispatch project, which is the informational hub for the county, which is through TriTech, the software company. So we'll be able to update that software to become the informational.
Okay, we do have a committee that looks at grants. This one here is already going by. Any other new grants coming up, effective a week ago at least, then the committee would look at them, okay?
So this was approved by the governor and council, executive council, and the packet is on its way, but it says that we can start updating the equipment, so that will begin. We'll get a hold of TriTech, and that was a matching grant.
how much is it?
12,979. Matching, so that's
12,000?
each side.
1,200.
12,979 for each side,
And we budgeted.
and that was
for
budgeted, yes.
Okay. And what are we getting out of it, though?
And that's just information gathering. We'll become the center, and then if each police department wants to update their systems to read into that center, they can. We'll be able to tie in with Belknap County. I believe they have it Grafton
What are you getting,
County.
software?
Yes, for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
And Portsmouth, Massachusetts, so all that information can be gathered. Warrants can be all tied in together, so.
So if somebody gets
It's gonna-
stopped on the highway and there's a outstanding warrant in
Should pop up.
East Podunk, it should pop
Right,
up?
if we're tied into all those systems, right.
Okay.
And most of New England is on the TriTech system for software.
Okay.
This was approved on 4/16, April 16th. April, it had to be done by the 1st of...
Right, it had to be done by April 30, or March 31st.
March 31st. Okay. We had approved this already, so I'm going to sign it. Okay. It's a contract with the Sheriff's Department. You can also sign.
And I can just update you on the canine.
Get one with no teeth this time?
Canine Edge had a relapse yesterday. She took him down to the vet. They've, I guess, subsided his illnesses for now. It looks possibly that the end is near for him or her. And we looked at a canine yesterday, which is a yellow lab, which shows very good potential and possibility. They're coming to this facility Thursday for us to take a second look at it before we make a decision on that.
And these dogs are from Portsmouth?
No, they're from all over. It's working dogs from Portsmouth where they train.
Aren't they the ones that are bringing you the
They brought the first.
perspective?
They brought the first one, and that's where Corporal Pearlie was doing her training through. And again, we all know that the first one was unsuccessful as far as our needs. So at this point, we've gone outside of working dog looking for the second dog. This one is available and has some basic training.
Well, where is it coming from? I mean, a private
It's a private,
breeder
yeah,
or
no, it's private.
or someone,
It's
or
private.
a
It's
law
actually
enforcement
was,
organization?
no,
that
this
trains
was
dogs?
actually bought by a couple. It's their third dog that's living in the house. It's become too much for them. They're a couple of years older than me. So it's just too much for them to handle at this point. So they are willing to give it to a good home,
So it
basically.
could become Carroll County Sheriff's
Yeah.
Department
There are
and Canine Rescue.
There are a couple other PDs in line to look at this dog if we don't take it. So, like I said, it's very
Local?
good potential.
Carroll County?
No, it's actually from
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
the Brentwood area
Okay.
is where it was initially trained
And when you say initially trained, you
and breeded. I mean, this
What-
dog is
what's it
breeded
done?
through them.
and how old is it?
It's 15 months old, and the initial training has a very basic obedience training and some forced fetching training, but we ran him for 45 minutes yesterday, and it was nonstop. So his drive is definitely there. And again, not being on that side of the knowledge of it, it showed very, very good potential.
Sheriff,
Great nose.
why, if you saw it yesterday, are they coming up here?
Because we wanted to take it away from that facility where it's been around
Oh, okay.
and get a different look and put him on the slippery floor over at the nursing home and see how he does on the tile floors and things like that, so. those are things that we were told to check out, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
Should do it for other than non-public.
Okay. How many details do we have going now? Do you know? Out working on the road for construction?
The only ones we have, we were just recently called in this week to assist Conway PD. They have one going on Washington Street, I believe.
Yep, I saw him yesterday.
That's for basically 12 to 16 hours that they're trying to fill, so
Okay.
they reached out to us yesterday.
Is that paid by the water company, by
Paid
the
by
town, or by the construction company?
Contractor, yeah.
Contractor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any further questions?
No.
Doing a good job.
Thank you.
Anything else we brought up before we go to public comment?
No.
I'll open it up again for public comment. Jason, do you have anything you want to report on today?
No, sir, I'd just like to see if I can get a moment of your time for a non-public.
You want non-public too?
Non-public.
Okay. Anybody else for public comment? Yes, Melissa?
I think it was last week, and it's come up a couple times throughout the year that the counties are required by law to have financial audits annually, but I've been unable to find anywhere in the RSAs that says that, and I know that's kind of been a Yahoo point for discovering that the county wasn't having them done, but I can't, are you familiar with it being actual law that the county has to have full audits done every year?
No, I think we need to have a Carroll County representative check in at Concord to find out if there is such a law. You've done it?
Yeah. And I forgot to bring it. I got an answer.
You got an answer? And you don't remember what the answer was?
No.
Okay.
No, it was, basically, you're irresponsible if you don't have it done. It's a long, I'll bring it up. I got it downstairs on the computer.
Okay.
So I guess the point is that it's probably makes sense. It's good business financial practice to have one done, but
Yeah.
actually the commission hasn't broken any laws by not doing one. You've had financial statements prepared
Right.
by the state mandated deadline, and they are published every year in the county report, which is the MS 45, which is a heck of a lot more than a form.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever tried to fill one out, it definitely takes a financial person to do that, so, okay. I didn't know if you knew of any laws that required
Okay.
you to have.
If anybody sees or hears of any laws,
David?
yeah, good.
I will forward to Melissa the answer I got from Legislative Services on the question.
Okay.
I had Representative Tyser to ask them, and they get back right away.
Okay, good, good.
Oh, can I add something at the audits? So the county borrowed money, bond money, $23 million. Was it not ever a requirement when you receive that money that an audit needs to be done?
Apparently not.
And the bank, if you borrow this money to offset the taxes, the bank doesn't require also an audit?
I am not a financial person. I'd have to ask
I
Kathy
believe,
Gary.
I talked with Rockingham County, and they say they cannot borrow any money if the county doesn't do an audit. They have to do an audit first before they can borrow money. But maybe we have a bank audit, it's not, I didn't check into that, because I have to check into many things.
Well, that would have been back in 2009, and we had an audit at that time.
That's true.
So when you get the money, then you basically stop.
No, that's not true.
Well, you stop in 2010.
You finished? Are you finished with your?
I had a question about the logging practice. You were talking about it a little bit, Wendy Scribner, and the concerns about the logging operation and the
Yes.
logger not upholding their end of the bargain. I was at the court this past week, and there was a case where the New Hampshire Division of Forests and Lands successfully brought some charges against the logger for wetlands violations, failing to build a, excuse me, I don't know all the terminology, the road you have to build.
Yeah.
And a couple of other violations, felling trees that weren't on the assigned property, et cetera. So why isn't that something
Good
that
question.
perhaps Bob Boyd would be in charge of? He prosecuted the cases across the street.
Yep,
So,
yep.
there's-
Go ahead.
I believe the answer to that, Melissa, and I'm not positive, but I believe what they try to do is go through the administrative hearing process first. And then if the individual doesn't want to settle a case or doesn't want to do what they want to do, the aggrieved person wants done, then it moves into the court system.
I didn't know if a mediation process could happen
I-
as part of the,
yeah. Do you know if it's been brought before the Division of New Hampshire Forest?
No,
No.
the major part was with DES
Oh,
because of all
okay.
the, you know,
which the wetlands violations, they've referenced several times best management practices,
Yep.
and that's specifically written on the complaints for this other operation.
The last I knew, I thought it was supposed to be corrected this spring. Couldn't be done in the winter for frozen ground, I guess, but so we'll follow up on that one.
And as far as on adjacent property, we know what's happening. On the county property, is there any logging scheduled for this year? I can't remember
No.
what the plan is for this year.
No.
but
Okay.
it just, in answer to one question, it just occurred to me that one of the questions was from Wendy, do we have the authority to go out and get somebody else to? That was part of the contract that when she wrote to them, agreement that if they didn't do it, somebody else would and we'd bill them. And she wants to know if we have the authority.
If it's in the contract, we should have the
Well, I don't
authority.
know if it was in the contract, but it was in one of the agreements they talked about at the end. So she wants to know whether we have the authority to just go out and hire someone to fix it if the logger isn't gonna do it. Or do we have to go through a court system? I'll show you the email. I got it
Okay,
down.
I think if the logger is properly notified that he needs to fix it and doesn't fix it within a certain period of time, then we should have the authority to go out and get somebody to come in and fix it and
Well,
charge
that's
that
what you
logger.
think, and that's what I think, but that may not be what the judge thinks. So we
Well-
gotta find, she wants to know whether in fact that's the way it works.
Okay. Boy, if she doesn't know, I would think she would know, but anyway, okay. Ed, you had a question or a comment?
Just had a comment. I spoke to other treasurers within the town, within the county,
Yep.
and they're all kind of befuddled that there's even a question about you having an audit. So we really need to figure out what this answer is, and we need
Yeah.
to move on, because every town's saying that they have to get an audit, you have to get an audit, and I was gonna have the treasurer of Brookfield come and explain what they have to go through, which should mirror to what you have
Yeah.
to go through. So we're gonna get an answer to this. My second comment is...
Well, the answer to comment on your first one, my understanding is that the law identifies certain governmental entities, but it does not identify the county as a requirement for an audit. That's what you found, right?
I found towns,
Municipality,
unincorporated places,
village
village
districts,
districts, school districts,
Yeah.
but not counties.
but not county.
And the Attorney General says we are not a municipality.
That's right.
But, go ahead, second
Well,
comment.
we have to get an answer to this, a conclusionary answer. My second question is the new information system that the sheriff is going to install. Is this going to better coordinate Homeland Security? Does that assist them to coordinate better?
No, that wasn't the purpose of it. It was for basically local sharing of knowledge.
Is there a Homeland Security component?
Not that I'm look further.
Thank you.
Okay, let's, Ed, go ahead. Last call, go ahead.
As far as the audits go, best management practices, you should do an audit of other people's money on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Well, whether you're actually required to by RSA or not, everyone else has to, the county should. And if you're not gonna do any logging this year, where is the wood for the firewood gonna come from?
I believe we are looking into doing additional logging. And Do you have any information on that?
No, but I was incorrect, you're right there.
What?
Wendy has marked off some more land to,
Because all the wood's supposed to come off
That's
county
correct.
property.
Yep.
And not
Yep.
being purchased
Yep.
outside.
Yep.
So that's
Additional
being-
75 cords, I believe, is what we're looking for.
well,
But
that's for the last one.
Right.
And
Okay.
the next one, but I believe, Mr. Brown, that and I stand corrected my first comment, that she is moving ahead, laying out another.
'Cause all-
But we've purchased in enough wood this year, I understand. You go out there, it's just miles of wood, piles of it, to cover us for this year so that we'll be ready next year with our own wood.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's get back into regular session, and we need to go into non-public. I have no indication that we would be coming out of non-public to go into public, other than to identify what was done in public, if we can release any of it, like we have done in the past. So I guess at this point in time, I would ask for a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3, paragraph 2, A, B, and C, and also under RSA 91A3, paragraph 2E. And do you have a particular item you want to discuss under 91A?
Personnel.
Jason?
Personnel, wage and compensation.
Okay.
Why don't we take the sheriff and then Jason and then
Okay.
Okay, so move.
I'll second it. I'm just trying to look for, what was your reasoning? Compensation?
Should be A.
Okay, that's under 91A32A. So for those three reasons, we'll go into non-public. Commissioner Kenney's made the motion. I'll second it. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
yes.
And so voted. We're in non-public session.
Can we take a quick recess?
We'll take a quick recess for, how long will it take you? Are you going to stay filming it and come back, or what's your plan?
I'll be outside.
You're going to wait, okay.
This is a little bit strange. Why don't
Okay, we came out of non-public. We sealed the minutes. And so now we are in public session. I have two things I'd like to discuss. One, I'd like to review because it's a big item, $1 million item, and I want to make sure that it's properly done, and I want to have everybody, at least the board here, look at it and make sure that we've got what we want to have in the proposal to renovate the old nursing home. So, if you would, take a look at it. I guess I'd like to have everybody sign it, because it is a big item. It was $30,000, and we approved it, no problem. But where this is $1 million, I want to make sure that we approve it, and that we have already approved it, but I want to make sure that it's correct, and by signing it, you're saying that it is correct.
And that is just the RFP, what you put out.
That's the RFP, exactly. The specifications will be available here in the office for anyone that wants to look at those, and they would be here available after the 1st of June.
So why are you not putting the specifications on the website?
They're too long.
Well, website have enough space.
No.
Go ahead.
You two are talking about two different things. You're talking about if they come in here, we can give them the plans and what has to be done.
Right.
She's talking, I think, about this.
Oh, that can go on the website.
Yeah.
That's going to go on the website, and it's going to go to
Dodge
Report
and the Union Leader.
Manchester Union Leader.
David, the only thing I would change here, instead of demo of 2 wings and new wall replacement, I would put removal of 2 wings and wall replacements. And do we put anything in there, removal and landscaped, or do we put in there, there's nothing in there that indicates they have to do anything but knock it down, and it should be,
I think that would be in the specifications.
how about demo and removal of, well, wait a minute, let's think about it. Yeah, if they're interested, they'll come in and we can tell them that we expect it to be.
Is that the only changes you think?
That's all I can see. I'm not a,
Oh. This isn't the one I thought it was.
that's the proposal for the,
Yeah.
there's no date on here though, you're right, isn't there? No date.
I thought that was the, to do the roof over at the jail.
No,
But that's for the kitchenette portion of the dining area in the new nursing home.
yeah, for the,
Yeah.
we should have a date on it, no. What do you think we should put down? Bids to be in by, what date? Let's figure this is the 1st of June. End of June?
By the 10th? Oh, wait, whoa. Does it have to be that long?
Well, what do we got, a week left in May, or half, we only got half, we
We're on
only
the
got 4 days.
We're at the 28th. Sunday is the 1st of June.
Oh. How about we make it the 21st of June?
You want to make it that long?
Make it.
Okay. Let's see.
People are busy.
21st is on a Saturday.
Okay, so we'll make it the 20th.
The 20th, okay. So the bids for the little kitchenette would have to be in by Friday the 20th.
Yep. All interested parties should contact the business office to set up an appointment to see the area involved. Bids to be in by Friday, June 20th.
I'm sorry, this is for the kitchen.
Okay.
Didn't you already get?
No, the eating area.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You don't want to tip our hand.
Oh, okay, I know why they got confused. Because this is what you put together for the old nursing home. All right, go ahead.
That's the same as right here.
No, it's
Yeah, it
different.
is. It isn't? Install 2 single doors? The heck? Install 2 single doors, numbered. All I did was change it from 26 linear feet to 74. That's what you guys all agreed? That's the same one. You just changed 26 to 74 linear feet. That one's different. That's the one I did.
All right. Let's start from scratch.
Okay.
This one here is in regards to petitioning off
The eating area in the nursing.
the eating area in the old nursing home.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking of the new nursing home.
We already signed that.
Already did that one.
Project should be
Yep.
started.
Okay.
What is this one?
But we are all set for this one.
And that one is all set.
Signed
That's the one,
initially.
that's the one you put up and we're ready to go.
Just initial it, please.
So is this for,
This is for
We'll
the
see.
dining area of the old nursing home.
And it is for...
For probation.
Probation.
Yeah. To see what kind of bids we get.
Okay.
Where would that one be published? Where do you want that?
That's gonna go in the, that was gonna go local, it was gonna go in the
Sun,
Independent,
Independent.
Conway Sun, and the webpage.
What, okay, webpage, okay.
Okay.
That's what I wrote, I was gonna write down on where it was going before you yanked it away from me here.
Wait a minute, make sure you're doing the right one. Go ahead, you got the right one. Go ahead. You got another place to send that one?
Dodge Report, Manchester Union, and webpage, that's what we decided to do.
Okay.
The Manchester Union ad is fairly
And
expensive.
those two are all ready to go. And I will follow up with the specifications downstairs so that anybody after the 1st of June, yep, pick up after the 1st of June, will have that information. Okay? Anything else that we need to bring up today? Seeing none, then could we have a
I'll make a
motion to
motion,
adjourn?
we adjourn.
Yep.
You want to second that?
Yep.
Asha?
Second.
Motion been made to adjourn. All those approve the motion, say aye. Aye. And so voted then.
12:30.
Okay.